Ghostly tales, yet mirrors of human life. Hey everyone! Welcome to Encountering Chinese, Ghostly Tales from Zhai. Today, I'm going to tell you a story called Turtle King of the Tao River. In Lintao County, there was a man named Feng Sheng, a descendant of nobility, though his family had fallen into decline. On one occasion, a turtle catcher owed Feng Sheng a debt and, unable to repay it, promised to give him a turtle as soon as he caught one. One day, the turtle catcher brought Feng Sheng a giant turtle, which had a white spot on its forehead. Feng Sheng found the turtle's appearance unusual and decided to release it. Not long after, Feng Sheng was returning from his son-in-law's home and found himself walking along the banks of the Hang River at dusk. He saw a drunken man, followed by 2 or 3 servants. The drunken man staggered toward Feng Sheng and asked, "Who are you?" Feng Sheng casually replied, "Just a passerby." The drunk man, annoyed, said, "Do you not have a name? How can you just say you're a passerby?" Feng Sheng, eager to continue his journey, ignored the man and walked straight ahead, brushing past him. The drunk man, now even more enraged, grabbed Feng Sheng by the sleeve, not letting him go, and Feng Sheng could smell the strong stench of alcohol. Growing increasingly impatient, Feng Sheng tried to pull away, but the drunk man held tightly onto his sleeve. Feng Sheng asked, "What is your name?" The drunk man, speaking as if in a dream, replied, "I was once the chief magistrate of the county of Nandu." "What do you intend to do?" Feng Sheng sneered and said, "It's a disgrace that someone like you was ever a chief magistrate. Fortunately, you're no longer in office. If you were the current magistrate, would you not kill every traveler on the road?" The drunk man, infuriated, immediately assumed a stance as if ready to fight. Feng Sheng then shouted, "I, Feng Sheng, am not one to be easily beaten." Upon hearing these words, the drunk man suddenly turned from anger to joy, unsteadily knelt down, and bowed, saying, "You are my benefactor. I am deeply sorry for my earlier offense. Please forgive me." He then got up and called his servants, instructing them to return home and prepare food and drink. Feng Sheng couldn't refuse, so the 2 of them walked hand in hand for a few miles until they reached a small village. When they arrived at the gate of a large mansion, they found the place to be luxurious, clearly the home of a wealthy family. By this time, the drunk man had sobered up a bit, and Feng Sheng finally asked for his name. The man replied, "Please don't be alarmed when I tell you, I am the Turtle King of the Tao River. Earlier, Qing Tong from the Western Mountain invited me for a drink, and I got drunk without realizing it. I deeply regret having offended you." Feng Sheng now understood that the man was a water spirit, but seeing his genuine sincerity, he was no longer afraid. Soon, a sumptuous feast was laid out, and the 2 of them sat down, drinking and chatting happily. The Turtle King was particularly generous, drinking several cups in a row. Feng Sheng, worried that the king might get drunk again and become troublesome, pretended to be drunk himself and said he wanted to go home to sleep. The Turtle King, understanding Feng Sheng's intentions, smiled and said, "You're not afraid that I'll go on another drunken rampage, are you? Please, don't worry. When people claim not to remember their misdeeds after a night of drinking, they're usually lying. 9 times out of 10, their immoral behavior while drunk is intentional. Although my kind may look down on me, I wouldn't dare show any insolence in your presence, so please don't distance yourself from me because of this." Feng Sheng then sat back down and earnestly advised, "Since you know that drinking is bad, why not give up this harmful habit?" The Turtle King replied, "When I was the chief magistrate, my addiction to alcohol was even worse than it is now. I once angered the Jade Emperor in heaven because of my drunkenness. He banished me from the celestial realm to this island, where I've been trying to rid myself of this bad habit. But it's been over 10 years now, and I'm old and worn out, still living in this sorry state. I can't find a way to ease my troubles, so I've fallen back into my old ways, hoping to escape through drinking. But now that you've urged me to change, I must heed your advice." While the two were deep in conversation, the distant sound of a bell tolled, signaling that dawn was approaching. The Turtle King stood up, grasping Feng Sheng's arm, and said, "Our time together has been too short. I have something I would like to give you as a token of my gratitude. However, this item cannot be worn for long. Once your wish is fulfilled, please return it to me." After speaking, he spat out a tiny figure from his mouth, barely an inch tall. The Turtle King then pinched Feng Sheng's arm so hard that the skin felt as if it were splitting. Then, he quickly pressed the tiny figure into the painful spot on Feng Sheng's arm. As soon as he released his grip, the little figure had already burrowed into Feng Sheng's skin. Though the skin wasn't broken, a mark was left, and a small lump, about the size of a coin, gradually appeared. Surprised, Feng Sheng asked what had happened, but the Turtle King merely smiled and said, "It's time for you to leave now." With that, he escorted Feng Sheng out, then turned back. When Feng Sheng looked back, the village and houses had all vanished, leaving only a giant turtle slowly crawling into the water before it too disappeared. Feng Sheng stood there in amazement for a long time, pondering the gift he had just received, which he realized must have been the treasure of the turtle spirit. From that day on, Feng Sheng's eyesight became extraordinarily keen. He could see the locations of buried treasures, even if they were deep underground, and could identify precious items he had never known before. He even unearthed several hundred taels of silver from his own bedroom, suddenly enriching his household. Later, when someone wanted to sell an old house, Feng Sheng noticed that the ground beneath it was filled with silver, so he bought the house for a large sum and moved in. From then on, Feng Sheng's wealth could rival that of a prince. Rare treasures like gems and precious pearls were plentiful in Feng Sheng's home. Feng Sheng's family also owned a precious mirror, which had a button carved with a phoenix on the back, surrounded by images of various beauties. At night, the mirror could shine light for more than a mile, and when someone looked into it, even the smallest details like eyebrows and beard could be seen clearly. If a beautiful woman gazed into the mirror, her image would remain there for a long time, not fading away easily. If she changed her appearance and looked into the mirror again, or if another beauty looked into it, the previous image would finally disappear. At that time, the third princess of Prince Suzhuang's household was renowned for her beauty, and Fengsheng had long admired her reputation. As it happened, the princess went on a trip to Mount Kongtong, and Fengsheng hid there in advance. When the princess stepped out of her sedan chair, Fengsheng used the mirror to capture her image. Back home, he placed the mirror on his desk so he could admire the beautiful woman in the reflection. The princess was depicted holding a silk handkerchief, smiling as if she were about to speak, with her eyes seemingly still moving. Fengsheng was utterly captivated and carefully stored the mirror away as a cherished possession. More than a year later, this matter was accidentally leaked by Fengsheng's wife. The news reached Prince Suzhuang's household, and the prince was furious. He ordered Fengsheng to be arrested and thrown into prison, confiscated the precious mirror, and even planned to have Fengsheng executed. In desperation, Fengsheng bribed the eunuchs heavily, asking them to speak to the prince on his behalf. If the prince spares Fengsheng's life, he can help the prince obtain the world's most precious treasures. If Fengsheng is lying, he can still be executed later, but if he is killed now, the prince gains nothing. The prince then considered confiscating Fengsheng's property and exiling him. However, the third princess spoke to her father, saying, "He has already secretly gazed upon me. Killing him 10 times over would not erase the insult to my honor. It would be better to marry him and thus protect my dignity." Prince Suzhuang disagreed, so the princess shut herself in her room, refusing to come out or eat. The princess's mother, the consort, was greatly worried about her daughter and persuaded the prince with all her might. Finally, the prince released Fengsheng and sent the eunuchs to inform him of the princess's desire to marry him. To everyone's surprise, Fengsheng refused, saying, "As the saying goes, a wife of humble origins should not be cast aside. I would rather die than take another wife. If the prince allows me to atone for my sins, I am willing to exhaust all my wealth." Upon hearing this, Prince Suzhuang was furious and had Fengsheng arrested again. The consort then summoned Fengsheng's wife to the palace, intending to poison her with a cup of poisoned wine. However, when the two women met, Fengsheng's wife presented the consort with a coral mirror stand and spoke with such gentle and sincere words that the consort grew fond of her. She had the wife pay respects to the princess, who also took a liking to her. The two women became as close as sisters, and the wife was asked to convey to Fengsheng that the princess still wished to marry him. Fengsheng told his wife, "The princess is the daughter of nobility. Even if she marries into our family later than you, she should not be relegated to a concubine." His wife did not heed his words and instead prepared an extravagant dowry to send to the prince's household. The procession of gifts numbered in the thousands, and the treasures were so numerous that some were unknown even to those in the prince's household. Seeing these treasures, Prince Suzhuang was pleased and allowed Fengsheng to return home, arranging for the princess to be married to him. The princess brought the precious mirror with her to Fengsheng's home. One night, while Fengsheng was sleeping alone, he suddenly dreamt of the Turtle King, who entered with a dignified air and said to him, "It is time to return the gift I gave you. If you keep it for too long, it will drain your essence and shorten your lifespan." Fengxing nodded in agreement and even invited the Turtle King to stay for a drink. The Turtle King declined, saying, "Since that day when you taught me a lesson, I haven't had a drink in 3 years." With that, he bit Fengxing's arm. The pain was excruciating, and Fengxing awoke with a start. When he looked at his arm again, the small lump had vanished. After this incident, Fengxing lost his ability to locate treasures. At the end of the story, the author adds this commentary. When sober, one is a person. When drunk, one becomes like a turtle. This is true for most drunks. However, even though the turtle spirit was accustomed to getting drunk and causing trouble daily, it still knew to be grateful and respectful to elders, unlike many humans. In this respect, isn't the turtle spirit far superior to many people? As for some individuals, they are less human when sober and even less than a turtle when drunk. In light of this, I composed an essay titled, "On Drunkards," and it reads as follows. There is something that can both refine one's temperament and is quite delicious. When consumed, it causes one to become intoxicated and feel as if floating. This substance is called wine. People have given it many names and placed it at the center of many occasions. It can be used to entertain friends, honor elders, pass the time, mark the completion of a marriage ceremony, inspire scholars, or dispel worries. Many literati consider wine a close friend, while those in distress see it as a remedy. All of these aspects contribute to the immortality of wine. While wine has indeed produced many memorable stories, overindulgence can also lead to disgraceful behavior. On a rainy or snowy night, or in the early morning, the moon can still be seen and the flowers are in bloom. With the wind still and the dust settled, old and new friends gather, their shoes mingling, as the rich scent of orchids and musk fills the air. Friends chat about topics they enjoy, hum soft melodies, and sip wine slowly. Suddenly, music begins to play, and everyone falls silent as if no one is there. Occasionally, a witty remark flutters by like petals, or a bold poem resounds like the clinking of jade or the clash of metal. In such an atmosphere, one becomes thoroughly intoxicated, feeling both refreshed and as though in a dream. If one drinks in such an environment, even getting drunk every day would not draw criticism. But if the setting is a noisy, discordant banquet, where coarse words and endless clamor prevail, friends quarrel endlessly over who should drink more, and even draw swords against each other, everyone strains their necks and furrows their brows, gulping down wine as if it were poison. After the feast ends, the place is left in disarray, with spilled wine everywhere and broken cups scattered about. Such scenes lack even the most basic drinking etiquette and are better left avoided. Then, there are those who, after just a sip of wine, less than an inch down their throats, begin to prattle on incessantly, mocking the host for being stingy. They refuse to leave once seated, forcing themselves to drink despite their low tolerance. Such guests are the most lacking in virtue. Worse still are those who, after just a single drink, start breathing heavily, frowning, and glaring. They dishevel their hair, bare their arms, and dance around wildly. They vomit all over, spewing obscenities that sound like barking dogs, while their disheveled clothes make them look like slaves. Their disgraceful behavior, with its screaming and flailing, is like a performance of agony, as if they are about to be torn apart. Even the most eloquent speaker cannot describe their demeanor, nor can the most skilled painter capture their likeness. If at this moment their parents come to reprimand them, they will be met with defiance. If their wife and children try to lead them home, their weak bodies can hardly support their weight. Friends of their parents will unjustly suffer their drunken abuse. Elders who try to gently admonish them will find that the insults they receive are even harsher. These individuals are known as wine fiends, unredeemable. There is perhaps only one remedy to sober them up. What is it? You only need to prepare a wooden stick, tie up the drunken troublemakers like pigs, and then give them a good beating on their buttocks. Don't hit their heads. After 100 or so hits, they will finally sober up. Alright. That's all for today's ghostly tale, Turtle King of the Tao River. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please also encourage everyone to comment and share more. We'll see you in the next episode.